Hi, everybody. April 5, 2019. Something happened in Baltimore earlier this year that many of you probably don't know, and I feel that it is really important to circulate this information all over. Uh, Look, I got a comment yesterday underneath one of my videos. There's an awful lot of people who do not recognize their own contribution to this nightmare. There are an awful lot of people who come at me, attack me for saying that, yes, the ordinary citizen, not just American, but the ordinary citizens all over the world have a huge part in the manifestation of this nightmare that we are living. And if you cannot see that, I don't know what to tell you. Perhaps you don't even want to look at your own contribution, so you need to attack me. There are talking about Americans because I am an American, so I focus on the United States. We have an awful lot of Americans who are corrupt. Their core, moral core, has been corrupted. And yes, they are greedy and they lie and they get into positions and they end up engaging in behaviors that can go under the umbrella of corruption, and that hurts us all. So while a lot of people focus on mainstream media reporters, the government officials, the leaders, very few focus on our own contribution. And we could, if we did the work necessary on ourselves, to manifest something better than what we all have manifested. Listen to this reporting, 28 seconds. This is mainstream media reporting on what took place in Baltimore.
I'm Denise Coke. Baltimore's city auditor has resigned after less than a year on the job, calling it a personnel matter. Baltimore Comptroller Joan Pratt tells our media partner, the Baltimore Sun, that all she could say was that Audrey Askew informed her of her intent to resign last Friday. The auditor's office is responsible for biennial audits of 16 agencies for finances and performance.
That's it? Really, mainstream media reporter? We all know, it's like almost impossible to not have a corrupted soul and be a mainstream media reporter. Their job is to inform those within their communities of what is going on, the truth of what is going on, and they don't do that. So, Audrey Askew. Funny that her name is Askew. It's actually Curtis Askew, but Askew. Well, things are very askew. Baltimore auditor resigned after feeling pressure to accept unsupported numbers. And this reporter, there was plenty of information already out when this occurred, which was in late February, to have reported more information instead of that, oh, it's a personnel matter. No. What happened? Well, Askew was encouraged to write off some federal grant money to balance the books before resigning 5 weeks ago. And this was written April 5th. Before resigning 5 weeks ago, Baltimore auditor Audrey Askew expressed concern to colleagues that she was getting incorrect and unsupported numbers from the finance department, federal grants to city agencies, as well as cash and investments on hand, led Askew to press for a qualified or modified opinion to the comprehensive annual financial report. I'll stop there and just play this video a few minutes. And if you don't know about that CAFR, the comprehensive annual financial report that all governments have. If you don't know about this, here, few minutes to learn.
Anyone who has ever approached a government agency just to see what they do and how they do it can tell you they didn't get very far. Government seems to be at least as secret as any corporation, if not more so. This government secrecy goes back well before terrorism was a general concern. Our public agencies are not so public when it comes to disclosing their own conduct, their finances, their inside operations, and their productivity. Well, it turns out, just like many people and organizations that like to be secret, they do have something to hide. It's called the CAFR. The CAFR is the name for the financial accounts of any public agency. It stands for Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and it is standard to all government agencies. Your courthouses have them, school districts have them, city, county, and state governments all have CAFRs. But up until recently, hardly anyone except government insiders have even heard of the CAFR. The hard numbers are in the CAFR. This is true reporting of all accounts, flows, and holdings. When media reports anything about public finance, this is what they should be talking about. But you may have noticed they only seem to talk about this thing called the budget. The budget is something very different. For government, the budget is not so much an accounting tool as a propaganda hallucination. A budget is a projection, a goal, a target. In accounting terms, the budget is referred to as inferior to the CAFR accounts. Suppose your county has $1 gazillion in the CAFR, but they tell you they have no budget for dog catcher. Well, that's okay. That may be exactly right. They have a bunch of money, but they have budgeted nothing for dog catcher. This community has decided that stray dogs are not a problem, so fine. That has nothing to do with any shortage of funds. It's just a budget decision. They might tell you that they don't have the money for the dog catcher, but that would be just to appease the small minority who have lost their dogs. Now say they budget $1 million for mosquito abatement. Now they've decided to go into those CAFR accounts and set aside $1 million. The media tells us the county budgeted $1 million for mosquito abatement, but they don't tell us, they don't mention the $1 gazillion remaining in the CAFR accounts from which they are dispensing the $1 million. We sit here and believe that when they spend that $1 million, there will be nothing left. They have us thinking that the budget is all there is. While we are duped into thinking government is broke, they are sitting on, in this case, nearly $1 gazillion in many special off-budget accounts, and you don't see that unless you look at the CAFR. So now what happens if mosquito abatement goes over budget and costs $2 million? Well, since you and I don't know about the CAFR and that gazillion sitting in the accounts, the nightly news comes crying to us, telling us the county has gone over budget, run out of money, and they need to raise taxes or borrow to pay the extra $1 million for the mosquito abatement. Remember, your media does not audit the CAFR. They just say whatever government says. So here's a real-world example of CAFR magic. In 2007,
and you can listen to the end of this video, Jerry Day talking about what took place in LA, Los Angeles County, their annual budget, and voila, suddenly they just, came up with $8 billion out of nowhere. Where did it go? How did it get there? What? All right, look. We have known that corruption has existed for a long time within our federal government. A lot of people are still, I guess, in denial about their local government and state governments. They are just as corrupt. Every government agency has a CAFR, and this goes on. It has been going on forever, and it's up to the people in their communities to put a stop to it. Well, Baltimore City Auditor Audrey Askew could not do what she was asked to do, and she wanted to release the CAFR. She wanted to release this comprehensive annual financial report, and well, that was stopped. So she was told that it would affect Baltimore's credit rating and also result in queries by federal agencies over the city's use of grant money. She was asked to go easy on city finances. Askew's abrupt departure was never explained by her boss, Comptroller Joan Pratt, or other city officials, except for comments to the effect that Askew was rigid and looked at financial accounting in black and white terms. You're an auditor. You look at numbers. Numbers are black and white. She was asked to write off grant money. CAFR report. So SB, which is the so-called independent firm that Baltimore hires to audit the city, along with the city auditor, they're supposed to be working together. SB founding partner Graylin Smith and finance director Henry Raymond pressed Askew to write off some of the federal grant money to balance the books. After Askew asked Pratt to back her in the dispute, she faced interference by Deputy Comptroller Harriet Taylor, who began attending the CAFR meetings. Friction between Askew and Taylor intensified prior to Askew's resignation. Councilman Ryan Dorsey tweeted what he knew about Askew's resignation. And that apparently took place. Well, this is the Baltimore Brew. Okay, that's not the tweet, which I will get to in 1 second. His tweet, as I understand it, the auditor wanted to release audits of the financial department who didn't want them released. The auditor believed it was wrong not to. The comptroller threatened to fire the auditor if she did release them. The auditor resigned. And she said, Askew said, I have integrity. I'm honest. I can't do what they want me to do. Wow. We have too few Audrey Askews in the world. She is Askew in this world. Pratt issued a statement today. This was April 5, remember, or April 4. I never threatened the city auditor regarding the issuance of financial statements. She offered this scenario. The city auditor voluntarily resigned on February 27, 2019, and thanked me for the opportunity to work with the city of Baltimore. And replying to another question, she said, no, I was not aware that she resigned because of CAFR. However, there was an issue with CAFR before that. Do you believe that this woman didn't know? The comptroller, Joan Pratt, didn't know that that was going on? I don't. And this guy Raymond, who is the head of the firm that the city hires to do auditing, Raymond never responded to Dorsey's remarks that she wanted to release, Askew wanted to release the CAFR. So Raymond declined to discuss the CAFR audit. You need to talk to the comptroller. She's responsible for the audit report. Askew also declined to discuss why she resigned. But she said this, Baltimore will never know why, but they know why, not referring to who they. Well, she's talking about Raymond, Pratt, and Pugh, the mayor. She said, I'm a person of integrity. I am honest. Anything that alters that, I don't do. I don't do. So during her tenure, which was only 8 months with the city, she had been critical of reports, financial reports of the city agencies. She questioned expenditures by staff surrounding Mayor Catherine Pugh for issuing a city-issued credit card to pay for dubious expenses, meals by staff, a Baltimore hotel stay for the Voice contestant, Davon Fleming, who Pugh later hired as a voice coach at the Department of Recreation and Parks. Still more money. $24,000 was spent by Pugh aides to buy and dry clean coats to present to homeless people. This is all manipulation of the finances. Your taxes that you pay, the residents of Baltimore, your money. But this goes on every government throughout this country. Here's just a little bit more information. This was posted today. She was asked why she left, and just said, Baltimore will not know, but those like Pratt and the mayor and the head of the firm, they know why. Why is she not coming out? It is extremely difficult to speak honestly today because you do get attacked and some get brought down really hard. Some get killed. We know this is happening. And when you are alone against so many corrupted souls, which is the mayor, which is the comptroller, which is the head of the firm hired by the city to do the auditing, you are standing there completely alone. And they make up things and they twist things to bring you down. The city comptroller, Joan Pratt, stated, I have never asked any of my employees to do anything illegal or unethical. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because we just have too many corrupted souls. When you're lied to over and over and over again for your entire lifetime, when you see these people, when you see just one person with integrity, stand up and say, I can't do this. And then you listen to all of the others who are saying it was just a personnel matter. And then they come out and say she was rigid, black and white. She didn't get along with people. That was other mainstream media reporting. She was difficult to work with, yada, yada, yada. It's very difficult to have relationships with people who have a strong moral core. Very difficult. Not because there's something wrong with them, but because there's something wrong with those that they relate to. But because there's so many who do not have that strong moral core, they then have an awful lot of support for their corruption, their behavior that is wrong. They have a lot of support. The one who stands alone has very little support. So she worked as the audit manager or the principal for 4 firms, including SB, that firm that's hired by the city of Baltimore. She has qualifications up the wazoo to be the city auditor. She was named city auditor last July, and boom, gone. She's responsible for reviewing city contracts, extra work orders, co-conducting the CAFR with the independent firm, SB. So, on just that one issue, the city issued credit cards. What happened? The mayor distanced herself from the controversy and scapegoated Kimberly Morton, the mayor's chief of staff. You take the fall for these credit cards. I'm just going to say, I didn't even know we had credit cards. And yet the card holder was the mayor's chief of staff. So they transferred this Kimberly Morton from the mayor's office to the Department of Public Works. See, okay, so you got these credit cards, you got an issue with money that is being spent with the use of these credit cards, but people don't get fired, they just get shuffled around. It's kind of like those priests who are sexually abusing children, they just get shuffled around. This is what we, with our silence, have consented to. Yeah, here. She was very black and white in her opinions and always had to be right. Oh my God. You know, this tweet here by the Baltimore Brew and February 28th. This is February 28th. So they already knew. Cryptic remarks from Baltimore City's auditor, Audrey Askew, who quietly resigned last week. I am a person of integrity and I am honest. Anything that alters that, I don't do. February 28th. So already the information. Something was far more going on here than that personnel matter. We need more people like this. But then you read the other comments under this tweet. Scary, actually. Hate those auditors who are sticklers for numbers. I know, right? And female sticklers are the worst and absolutely intolerable, especially in professional settings where they are in charge. Girls with power, hear this, be nice or be gone. Smart and ethical won't impress the schmucks in the office. Well, I'm hoping that these comments are sarcastic. Big loss. Now the crooks can find someone who will look the other way. Tough day for the city. Well, thank you for that. Clear, succinct, right on. Yep, we're going to get somebody who is corrupt, just like all of us. You know, and then you think about taxes, 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 taxes. How many taxes? Cities, states, local governments taxing you, stealing your money every which way, and yet they have this hidden accounting. It's hidden from you. Money they steal. You hear about that budget, you don't hear about the CAFR. So here we have New York City. They want an unbelievable congestion toll. So weekend's passage of a New York mansion tax, plastic bag ban, and a congestion toll. Drivers in the Big Apple will now pay a fee to enter a zone in Manhattan's business district. How are they going to do this? Not with an actual physical toll, license plate readers. You drive into that zone in the mail, you'll get a fee. Are you kidding? Now, Manhattan, congestion, it looked like this when I lived there 4 decades ago. And they're claiming it's gotten worse and worse, and the toll is expected to generate much needed cash for the city that it will use to help restore its infrastructure. Well, what's crossed out? Much needed cash for the city that it will use to fund bureaucratic red tape and corruption. And they even came out and said it is to collect revenue for the monies that they have lost with the subway system. Oh, so it's not about congestion. It's about you've lost monies from the subway system. So now you want to figure out a way to get that money back. Could you imagine how much is in the CAFR in New York? What are we doing here? Why do we allow these people to steal from us? They are the most corrupt, and when you think about how many psychopathic, narcissistic, corrupted souls are held up as leaders, or those who are of great success, right? What's the success about? Material success. And they are propped up and given so much attention. And then you have the young who so want to be a success and have a lot of money, and they emulate those behaviors. I'm posting this because parents, please have your children look at this woman and emulate her behavior. Emulate those with integrity. Emulate those who are honest and they have such a strong moral core that they literally cannot lie, cook books, behave in ways that they know are wrong. They can't. It's not a choice. It does not seem like a choice with Audrey Askew. So yes, we are part of the problem because Americans are in local government and they are stealing your money and they're hiding that money. And then they claim, oh, we have no money, our budget, oh my God, we've got to raise taxes again and again. And you never see any benefit. How long has this been going on? Now it's so unbelievably obvious. So when you think about all of the Americans who are actually, well, their success and their livelihood and their paycheck, it all comes from immoral ways in which they get their paychecks. Yeah, the system with so many contributing and participating. How could you possibly think that Americans, the ordinary, are not part of this? And yes, I do hammer this home. Why? Because this is the problem. We very often focus only on mainstream media reporters and government officials and leaders. Oh, they're the ones who have manifested all of this evil. No, we're all a part of this. When we don't stand up for what is right, we're a part of this. When we're silent, we're a part of this. When we are completely inactive in the fight, we are a part of it. When we can't behave like Audrey Askew, but we continue to show up. Think about all of those who participate in corporations that are destroying the planet. They don't want to acknowledge that they are part of that wheel keeping that corporation just turning on, destroying more and more and more. They don't acknowledge that. Their paycheck is the most important thing. Think of all of those who are working for government that is destroying even their own lives. They don't see it. They're getting a paycheck and they won't acknowledge their contribution. Think of all those who work in the public school system. My God, those kids in incredibly dangerous, physically dangerous environments because of Wi-Fi, but Common Core, there are teachers who know that these kids are being destroyed deliberately just by the public school system, but they continue to show up. They even continue to show up in dangerous environments, dangerous for their own health. They keep showing up. The paycheck, the paycheck, the paycheck. When we put everything above, when we put money above everything else, we cannot claim to be good. We cannot claim that we have principles. We cannot claim that we are not contributing to the nightmare that we live, and everything has become very obvious. When you act like Audrey Askew, you are someone who can claim, I can't participate. This is what needs to be done. And you know what? We've been living this for decades. 60s, I think 1964, Mario Salvo. Berkeley, California, protesting. A college wanting to shut down free speech. How can we live this with nothing ever getting resolved? Ever. It matters what you do. It matters what you do. To think that this was going on in the 60s and we're still living it. It means that our leaders, government officials, and mainstream media reporters, but all people, they're all doing the same old, expecting different results. We're insane. We are insane. We need to face our own insanity. And here you go.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Well, this is what this woman did. She alone put herself on the wheels, the gears. Stop. I want to release this CAFR report. I want the public to know that something is not right. When so few behave like this, they get destroyed. So we do need more and more people. We need more and more people who get to that point, you know, when the machine becomes so odious that you cannot contribute anymore. You can't participate in it anymore because your soul is so sick that you have to walk away from it. That's the only avenue towards healing this sickness in this country. That is it. It really does come down to each and every one of us. Be very careful what you do, what you say, every single day, every moment. Have that awareness. Heighten your awareness. And think about how you get your paycheck. Think about what you are doing that amounts to you getting that paycheck at the end of the week or every 2 weeks. Is it contributing to this nightmare? And I would say that 99% would have to say yes. So we have to figure out another way. It's hard, but it's doable.